Let's start the second most important chapter of your class 10th history book, and that is Nationalism in India. Welcome on the platform Diksha Vedantu, and this is your SST faculty Tanvi Ma'am. Beta, this session is going to be super helpful for you because this is not just explanation to the chapter Nationalism in India, but along with that I added certain NCERT questions, along with that questions taken from previous year question paper and a lot more. So you have to just stick with me till the end of the session and you are going to thank me at the end. My dear students, while watching this video, I want your NCERT on your study table, your pen, your pencil, as well as a copy for writing the short notes, and this will be helpful for you. Nationalism in India, as I always say before starting a chapter, we have to first decode the heading, the title of the chapter, and here it is Nationalism in India. Something similar to this is what we studied in the previous chapter, that is Rise of Nationalism in Europe, if you remember, right? From there, we learned one thing, that what is nationalism. So nationalism is basically a feeling of belonging to a nation, feeling of belonging that by this is my territory, I belong to this territory. Whenever there is match of India, what do you feel? I feel that by every time India should win, my country should win. That feeling to a territory, to a land area, to the place is known as what? Nationalism. The way you show the love towards your nation, that is patriotism. Getting my point? The two difference between nationalism as well as patriotism. In the last class, in the last chapter, you studied the feeling of nationalism in different countries of Europe. Like we studied about France, Germany, Italy. Now it is high time we should see the chapter Nationalism in India. But when you were in class 8, pay attention to that. When you were in class 8, the major thing that we covered in this chapter, in that class was regarding the rise of the freedom struggle in India. Okay? I will just take you back to class 8. Don't feel disconnected here. We are going to study class 10th only. But to connect it more nicely, let us see from where the story begins, right? So the story begins in such a way that in 1600, okay, the 1600 East India Company came to India, and this East India Company's target was to do trade, okay, was to do trade. But what happened eventually? The interest of the East India Company was increasing and it swiped away all other Europeans that were already existing in India. It became the sole country who had the monopoly over the political resources of India. And gradually, we have seen that gradually it's first attacked in the city of Bengal, okay, and then gathered more courage, army, and basically at the end we have seen that it became British Empire in India after the revolt of 1857. This revolt of 1857 was your one chapter in class 8, if you remember. Right? After this 1857, we saw that there was rise of the feeling of nationalism among the people, because this was the first revolt that is considered against the British Empire, or it is being said that this is the first war against the British Empire. Right? Then we saw that there was rise of the feeling of nationalism. People wanted freedom from this particular war, the British Empire. And hence, as a result of which in 1885, okay, and political organization was made, that was all India in nature. And bacha, we know that it is Indian National Congress. Why I am telling you all that? If you give this 2 minutes to me, na, the rest of the chapter will feel very easy to you. Okay, and here it was formed, the Indian National Congress, which we popularly call INC. When Indian National Congress was formed, there were two group of people in this Congress, and they were either moderates, okay, they were either moderates or they were extremists. After the formation of this Congress, beta, the one big movement that was started by this Congress was Swadeshi movement, if you remember, okay, and this Swadeshi movement was against the partition of Bengal. But what happened in this? Something big happened in this, that ideology of these moderates and extremists do not match, because of which we have seen the split in the Congress. The Congress was divided into two parts. right? And eventually the graph of this nationalism was dropping day by day. The graph of this nationalism, I would say that the feeling of nationalism was dropping day by day, but the graph of this movement dropped day by day as there were clashes among the Congress body, right? Split among the Congress body. But now this is something we read till class 8, okay? This is something we read till class 8. In class 10th, this is the further explanation of the timeline. Okay, the timeline after this movement, what actually happened. So let me tell you, beta, in the world, okay, in the world there was an event that was going on which is referred as First World War. Do you guys remember the first chapter where it ended? It ended in the Balkan crisis. As a result of Balkan crisis was First World War. Now you might be thinking, ma'am, what do we do with the First World War? We were not participating in that. But one country was participating which had a direct control of India over, that is Britain. Let me tell you, beta, this First World War, okay? This First World War started in 1914 and ended in 1918. This is the time when British government was ruling us. Okay, British government was the colonial power of India. In this First World War, there were two powers. Okay, the two powers were allied powers and the other was central powers. Okay, in the group of allied power, there was a country, Britain, and this country, Britain, was ruling India at that time. Because beta, they were the colonial power, they were extracting resources from country India. They were extracting resources from our country. During the time First World War was going on, what they wanted? They wanted the maximum benefit out of our country so that they can add resources in the First World War, like they were weapons. So iron was taken. They wanted clothes for the soldiers. They took it. They even wanted soldiers and they took it from India, where we have no direct relation with the First World War. We were made to participate in the First World War indirectly. Don't you feel that it will affect the society, the economy and the political structure of India? Yes, and that is actually the first topic of your class 10. Now you might be thinking, ma'am, what story you were telling, beta? That is the reason I was telling you the story, so that you can feel connected for the rest of the class. And here the chapter begins. The first topic of the chapter is, what is the impact of First World War on the freedom struggle of India? Now, as we know the background, what was going on, the First World War created a direct impact and changed the economic as well as political situation in India. Change what, bacha? The economic and political situation in India. This question is a very, very important question and comes in your exam for how many marks? For 5 marks. So what are the points? Let's read. First of all, whenever there will be war-like situation or there is war ongoing, one expenditure that increases is the defense expenditure. So this time the British defense expenditure increased. Now they will extract the revenue from somewhere. Where was it? That was India. For that they increased the taxes in India, again harsh on the people of India. They applied harsh custom duties whenever trade was done, na? Right? Whenever any trade was done, when India needs to export the products, they were applying custom duties so that they can extract more taxes. One more new tax was introduced and that was income tax. The first thing was to take money out of our country by increasing the taxes, because their defense expenditure increased. Okay, the second point is that during the war, always it happens, beta, always it happens in the world, whenever the situation is of war, during that time the prices of the commodities increase, because we know that there will be high demand in the market, and due to high demand inflation comes. Okay, so during that time the prices of these commodities increased in the year 1913 to 1918, which led to economic crisis and created the problem among the common people who have no relation with the war going on. in the world, that too not in our continent. Getting my point here? Third is villagers were called upon for forced recruitment. You know, there is a lot of stories regarding that they were going to the village areas, majorly in the northern region of, like if we talk about Himachal region, Punjab region, where they find that army men are there, right? They were asked to do the forced recruitment, and sometimes when they deny, like we might be thinking, why can't they deny? They were took out of the society and they were not allowed to live in that villages, and lot of pressure was created on them to be the part of the soldier, to be the part of the army fighting in the war. So third is beta what? Forced recruitment. Do you know what happened during this period? This period, because they were focusing more on the war, so they were not focusing on the agriculture development and lot more thing. What happened? There was lot of crop failure, which leads to acute shortage of food. Which leads to what? Acute shortage of food. There was so much less food. Now what happened? When there will be no food, what will happen? Famine will happen. Famine and epidemic led to the death of around 12 to 13 million people during that time. Why we are talking about that? When common people will face the problem, they will think to fight against the British rule, and here somewhere our freedom struggle emancipated, or the growth of the freedom struggle took place. Now do you understand the background why I told you? So what is the impact of First World War on the freedom struggle of India? Point number one, increased defense expenditure, which led to increase in taxes, custom duties and income tax introduced. Second is about war prices increase. Third, about forced recruitment. Fourth, crop failure. And the last one about famines and epidemics. The keywords which I was reciting right now, you should write in your copy watching me right now. And this is the way we will be completing the whole chapter today, learned by heart in this video only. Okay, done with the very first important topic. Now comes in picture a hero, right, which people consider a hero. But before moving to that, this is the type of question coming from this topic. How the feeling of nationalism grew up among the people of France. Arey nahi bhai, there is a mistake, among the people of India. And the answer to this question are these points, 5 exact points which you write. No one is going to deduct your marks. No one, literally no one. So now what happened in India comes Gandhian era. In India comes what? Gandhian era. So beta 1885 Indian National Congress was formed. There were major leaders in Indian National Congress, that Dadabhai Naoroji, right, and lot more. So those leaders were of two ideology, either moderates or extremists. Moderate wanted peaceful solution, peaceful way to fight against the Britishers. However, extremists were of the ideology that we should fight with violence if required. Right? And then the clashes appeared. But by the time Gandhiji came in India, that was the year 1915. But by the way, where was he? So if we talk about him, he was born on 22nd of October 1869 at Porbandar, Gujarat. Okay, then he went to London in 1888 for studies of law, and there he became barrister. But because of any case, related to any case, then he moved towards what? South Africa. Now in class 8, you also studied about one chapter, that is racial discrimination in South Africa, right? Racism, apartheid system being followed in South Africa, because that particular land was also ruled by Europeans. What happened? Gandhiji fought against that apartheid system in South Africa also, and there he evolved an ideology, and that ideology is known as Satyagrah. There he evolved an ideology, that ideology is known as bacha what? Satyagrah. Okay? After that, he finally came to India. He returned to India in the month of January in 1915. Why we are talking about him? Because the next chapter of the national freedom struggle is somewhere connected to Mahatma Gandhi, is altogether connected to Mahatma Gandhi, and we call it Gandhian era. What do we call it, beta? The Gandhian era. Okay? So this is what about Gandhiji coming back to India in January 1915. Mark it, MCQ can come. But what is this Satyagrah? Right? Now the question comes in our mind that what is this Satyagrah? Before moving to the Satyagrah, here is the question, but you can solve this question after only studying this. So beta, this Satyagrah, okay? Satyagrah is a word that comes from two words, that is Satya, right, and Agraha. If you study Hindi, there is a concept of Sandhi Vichhet, and in which Satya here stands for truth and Agraha here stands for non-violence. So he means that for this freedom struggle, we just need to stand on two pillars, and that is truth and non-violence. We will never be violent in the freedom struggle of India. Okay? This was the basis of his ideology, Satyagrah. Now, when he came to India in 1915, pay attention, when he came to India in 1915, everyone knew about his past, that what he did in South Africa, and everyone was assuming that he will come and enter into the political sphere of Indian freedom struggle. But according to Gandhiji, his political guru, okay, his political guru at that time he considered idol as was Gopal Krishna Gokhale. Right, he went to Gopal Krishna Gokhale, and Gopal Krishna Gokhale said to him that, see, you came to India after a long time. The situation in South Africa and in India is quite different, right? First, you have to do what? You have to spend time in India and analyze the situation for 1 year at least. Have a tour of India. Go to the places, talk to the people, connect with the people and figure out what problems they are facing. And this is something what was done by Gandhiji in 1915. For 1 year, he was not seen in any of the activity, but later he participated in some of the early Satyagraha, and that is known as early Satyagraha of Gandhiji. Right? Yes, this question comes sometimes as MCQ or sometimes as 2-mark question asking particular about these Satyagraha. So what happened? The topic is about 1917. The case is about bacha what? The year 1917 at a place known as Champaran. So Champaran is a place in Bihar. Where it is, beta? Champaran is a place in Bihar. What happened during this time? Let me connect you one more revolution that you studied in class 8. Do you remember that you studied a revolution that is known as Blue Revolution? Okay, that is known as Blue Revolution or Indigo Revolution that people did in Bengal against the indigo planters. So beta, indigo is a natural dye. Okay, we know that. So Britishers were very rich during that time because of textile production, and in that textile production they needed indigo. Indigo, that means what? That means a natural dye plant, and it was grown well in tropical and subtropical climate, which is perfect in India. So in Bengal they were asking the farmers to grow indigo on 2/3 of their land compulsorily. But what is the problem with indigo? We should be happy that we are getting the business. No, beta, that plant has deep roots, and when it have deep roots is basically destroy the soil, reduce the fertility of the soil, and the farmers were getting affected whenever they grow another crop. So that was the issue. In Bengal, this people revolted, which is popularly known as Indigo Revolt, as a result of which it was said that without the will and wish of the farmers, indigo cannot be grown in Bengal. But Britishers are smart. After this Bengal, they moved to Bihar. And this place, Champaran, was facing that same oppressive plantation system which Bengal people used to face sometimes back, right? So now, Champaran, Bihar, what was the issue? Oppressive plantation system. The leaders here called Gandhiji that give us the support and let's start doing Satyagraha against Britishers. And do you know what happened? He got successful here. Similar such revolt he took part was in Kheda, and Kheda is a place in Gujarat. You need to remember all of these, okay? Kheda is a place in Gujarat. The year was 1917. What happened? There was crop failure and epidemic, that is plague epidemic. Now what is the issue, beta? It is being said that whenever the crops will be destroyed because of any natural factor and crop failure because of drought was there here, right? We will be reducing the percentage of revenue. This was promised by Britishers, but when this time the crop failure happened, what they said? No, we want this much revenue. So this was the first time, beta, they were showing non-cooperation, that we are not going to give the what? We are not going to give what, beta? The revenue. Getting my point over here? So third is Ahmedabad. The third early satyagraha is Ahmedabad. Again in Gujarat, the people revolted against the mill owners. So same plague epidemic was in the Ahmedabad region also. People were affected, right? Crops were destroyed. This was the time of the war when expensive things were being in the market. Now what happened? People were not getting that much of revenue. So now it was organized by cotton mill workers to increase their salary. And here this was the first hunger strike done in India by Mahatma Gandhi in the year 1918. So lot of detail is not given in your book. I just told you the detailed description about these early satyagrahas so that you feel connected at what these satyagrahas were. And this is how Gandhiji participated in some of his early satyagrahas at Champaran, at Khera, at Ahmedabad. Okay, what happened? Now his dabdaba, or what we can say, his identity became more famous among the people of India, because somewhere the result of these satyagraha was positive and people started trusting him, people started believing him. So he was the person who connected with the common people, like not that of Indian National Congress other leaders. So he was someone who connected with what? Common people. Now what was in his mind? See, these satyagraha were localized, regional. There was not all India satyagraha. So these were not the even issue which can connect everyone in India. So he was just finding out which can be a reason to start all India satyagraha like he did here. And here the Britishers came, giving him the reason to start that. That was passing an act, that was Rowlatt Act. Passing an act, bacha what? Rowlatt Act. Now what is this act? Acha, before moving to this act, I remember I missed a question over here, and the question is as this. Why I bought this question explanation series, so that you can feel connected that which type of question comes from these topics, and later you not need to find all of them. Okay, so the question is assertion. Now it is in the form of assertion reason, which you guys care of. Assertion. In 1917, Gandhiji organized a satyagraha to support the peasants of the Kheda. So now first of all, what you have to remember is why was it in 1917? Yes, why? Was it a satyagraha? Yes. Peasants of the Kheda? Yes. So everything in this assertion is separately true. Okay, moving to reason. The peasants were affected by crop failure and plague epidemic. Do you feel that it was the issue? Yes. So they could not pay the revenue and were demanding the revenue collection to be relaxed, as I told you. So both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. This is how we have to solve the assertion reason type of question. First, you have to read the points independently and then find the connection between them by adding because or something words like that. Okay, great. Now, moving back to the story that Gandhiji wanted to start a satyagraha and Britishers gave him the reason, and the reason was passing of this Rowlatt Act. Do you know, bacha, this act is considered to be as Black Act in the history. This act is considered to be as what? Black Act in the history. Why? See, Britishers passed this act very hurriedly in the Imperial Legislative Assembly sitting at London. Why was it? This act gave government enormous power to suppress the political activities. So basically, this time political activities were increasing in the country and Britishers got scared of that. So to suppress those political activities, they allowed the detention of political prisoners without any trial for 2 years. What does it mean? For 2 years, these political prisoners will be arrested, right, without any trial. Without any trial means no procedure, no warrant being issued, right? No ground of arrest will be told to them. They will not be given chance to fight against these this particular arrest. They cannot hire their advocate. Right? So what do you think? Are they giving them right? No. Beta, this act particularly took away what? Took away the civil liberties. Pay attention, the civil liberties. And this is considered to be a Black Act hence. So Gandhiji got the chance by this Rowlatt Act is oppressive for the complete Indian community. right? Be it be any caste, be it be any religion. So this is the time we can start an all India nationwide satyagrah, right? All India what? Nationwide satyagrah. Hence, Gandhiji launched a nationwide Rowlatt Satyagrah against this Rowlatt Act passed by Britishers. Okay. Now, how Indian participated in that? Gandhiji said that this is Satyagrah. We will be following truth and non-violent policy. Let's organize rallies. Rallies were organized against Britishers. People were like cutting off the lines of communications and transport. People were sitting on the what we can say lanes of railway tracks. They were sitting over there. Workers were not going to work. They were doing strikes. And this is how the scene of India at that time when Rowlatt Satyagraha was started. You know that it was about to start from 6th of April outrightly. But what happened? As this was peaceful, this was non-violent way of doing satyagraha, but this was the first time now. Since Britishers get agitated, Acha, how can you challenge our authority? How can you do that? So they become violent this time. What they did? They tried to suppress the people, the protesters, the peaceful Protestants working over here. How? They started arresting the local leaders, particularly from Amritsar. Two popular leaders were arrested, and they were Dr. Satyapal, okay, Dr. Satyapal and Saifuddin Khichlu. Dr. Satyapal and Saifuddin Khichlu. The two leaders were arrested. But when these two leaders were arrested, along with this, Mahatma Gandhi was barred from entering violence. Barred from entering Delhi. He was barred from violence, but he was barred from entering Delhi. Situation getting worse day by day. The oppression of the Britishers increasing day by day, and this is how violence increased in the country. Right? So the satyagrah started on 6th of April. On 10th April, there was police firing in Amritsar on the peaceful protestants, because when leaders were arrested, people also become agitated and they started doing satyagrah against the government, right? The police firing was there and martial law was imposed. Do you know, bacha, what martial law is? Martial law means military rule. It means what? Military rule. Now, the law and order of the city will not be in the hands of police. Rather, it is in the hands of army, and you can now think about how harsh it can be. So, martial law was imposed in Punjab. Okay, where was the martial law imposed, bacha? Punjab, because according to them, the Punjab region was having violent satyagrah during this time, according to the Britishers. But that violence came only when they arrested the local leaders. Now, what happened when this martial law was imposed? Now, on 13th of April. Okay? On 13th of April, every year in Punjab, we celebrate a festival that is Baisakhi. We celebrate the annual festival that is Baisakhi. Now, what happened? People gathered in a bagh, that means a garden, beautiful garden at that time, Jallianwala Bagh. Right? Now, Jallianwala Bagh, people gathered to celebrate this annual fair of Baisakhi. But here, the army chief, or what we can say the commander, General Dyer, got the news that people gathered there and there is some political meeting going on, and he was mad. This crazy man entered the only exit of this Jallianwala Bagh and started open firing without any orders of the above authorities. Right? What happened after that? People were killed, right? They were bullet fired, and some people like by themselves fell into the well, considering that we should not die from the bullets of Britishers. And there were more than 700 people whose life was taken during this Jallianwala Bagh, and this incident stunned the entire nation. You know that there was actually the black, what we can say, the black event in the history of India, this Jallianwala Bagh. He blocked the exit, started open firing, and did the open firing until he found that every man is died there. There were women, there were children, and this was the incident. Right? So this is something very bad in India that happened after this. Now what happened? After this Jallianwala Bagh massacre, right? There was obviously negative response by Indians, right? The crowd came on streets. They started attacking the government buildings. There were strikes all over. The violence was increasing in the country because Britishers were suppressing them in the violent manner. You know, this time, rather than taking as their mistake what Britishers did, brutal repression, they terrorized and humiliated Indians. Right? People were forced to rub their noses on the ground. They were asked to crawl. They were asked to say Salam Sahib to any Britishers they see on the way. And you know that people flocked and villages were bombed after this Jallianwala Bagh incident. The leaders like Mahatma Gandhi, Rabindranath Tagore showed their response to this act by giving up the British titles given to them. Right? Now, this is what the story is. So, the first satyagraha started by Gandhiji, Rowlatt Satyagraha against an inhuman act passed by them, that was Rowlatt Act. Now, what happened after that Rowlatt Act? Martial law was imposed in Punjab. As a result of that, Jallianwala massacre happened. Jallianwala Bagh massacre happened. I hope that you are very much aligned to the story up till now and you understand what was the content of this entire story. Okay? Now, there are a lot of questions in between which I skipped for you. Now, we will be dealing with that. So, the question that comes from this Rowlatt Act wala part is, why were Indians outraged by the Rowlatt Act? Right? So, how you are going to write that? Consider this comes as 3 marks. Okay? So, consider this comes as 3 marks. What you will write, beta? Rowlatt Act was hurriedly passed by Imperial Legislative Council. First point. See, I already made it the slides in a way that you are getting the points for your exam. The second point is, this act gives government enormous power to suppress political activities and allow detention of political prisoners without any trial for 2 years. The third will be, in response to that, a nationwide Rowlatt Satyagraha was started by Gandhiji from 6th of April. This is exactly the 3 pointers that you are going to write and you will get the 3 marks. And this is how the question will come. The question can only also be framed as, write a short note on Rowlatt Act or Satyagraha. Okay, chalo, great. Okay, after this we studied Jallianwala Bagh. Here is a question which can be asked. Identify the statement. The event happened on April 13, 1919 in the southern state of India. Exactly, it is Punjab. People were protesting against the government's new repressive measure, that means arresting the local leaders. Some people came to attend the annual Baisakhi fair, and here actually the clarity of the question starts. The objective of such act was to produce a moral effect, and that was Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Now, why is this last line added in this MCQ, beta? When General Dyer, right? When General Dyer was asked by the British authorities that why you did that, when a committee was formed and General Dyer had to give the justification why he did that, do you know what he said? I just wanted to create a moral effect, a terror in the mind of Indians that Britishers can do this. And this was actually his justification. No negative, what we can say, step was taken against him by Britishers. And you know the story, rest of the story about Uddham Singh. We have seen that movie altogether. Okay, so this is how the question can come. ठीक है, Jallianwala Bagh done. So now question for the Jallianwala Bagh can be, write a newspaper report on Jallianwala Bagh massacre. So you can write this answer as a short note. ठीक है? Next is about the story after Jallianwala Bagh. Now see, this was the first satyagraha that was started by Gandhiji. Now what happened to the satyagraha? We all have the evidence of it. But the story does not end here. Now you are aware, beta, in the world there was First World War going on, right? The First World War, there were 2 groups. There were 2 groups. And what were those 2 groups? One is Allied power, right? And the other one is Central powers. Okay? In the Allied power is Britain, the country ruling us. Along with that, there was France, right? And there was Russia. Right? After that, in the Central powers, the major country was Turkey. ठीक है, then there was Italy and there was Germany. Now the story is regarding two countries, that is Britain ruling India and Turkey, which will have a little impact in our future history. So there is an issue known as Khilafat issue. Beta, we are aware that this Turkey was the part of Ottoman Empire. This Turkey was the part of what? Ottoman Empire. In the Balkan region you study, Turkey is the part of Balkan region too. So when Allied powers won in First World War, the power from the Ottoman Empire was taken away. In this Ottoman Empire, there was a leader known as Khalifa. Khalifa is basically the spiritual head of the Muslim community here. He was the spiritual head of the Muslim community, and we know there were a lot of people in India who follow Islamism at that time also. So what happened? This Khilafat issue was raised in India also. So First World War, the defeat of Ottoman Turkey led to the harsh treaty on the Ottomans, which took the spiritual head of Islamic world its power. The power was taken from him. Now all the Muslims throughout the world were not happy by this action of Britishers, and in response to that, pay attention, in response to that, Khilafat committee was formed in India. Okay, where was this committee formed? Bombay. Will MCQ come? Many times it will come. Where was Khilafat committee formed? Bombay it was formed. When was it formed? It was formed in the month of March in 1919. It was formed in the month of March in 1919 by Ali brothers. Who we call them? We call them popularly Ali brothers, and they are Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali. Who are they, bacha? Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali. Okay? Now Gandhiji saw this as an opportunity. Now what is the opportunity? Rowlatt Act. The result is still pending. Jallianwala Bagh massacre. We have to fight against it. And here comes the Khilafat issue, from where we can pick the support of what? Muslim community for an all India nationwide struggle. Gandhiji saw this as an opportunity for united mass agitation. What happened at the Calcutta session organized in September 1920? Pay attention. Right? Calcutta session organized in September 1920, Gandhiji brought his idea in front of the members of Indian National Congress that we shall start non-cooperation movement, right? An all India nationwide movement. Okay? Nationwide movement that is known as non-cooperation movement. Okay, this was presented. Beta, this is an map work also. Okay, this is also a map work that where was the session in the month of September 1920 organized. What was actually the agenda? That Gandhiji presented his idea that we shall start non-cooperation movement in the support of Khilafat issue. Right? What was the agenda that he told to the members in this? He said that, why non-cooperation? See, first understand the word non-cooperation, right? He said that in his book, Hind Swaraj, okay? He has written a book, basically a magazine type, 1919, that, you know why Indians are being ruled by Britishers? Because we are cooperating with them. They started British school, we joined them. They started British college, we joined them. They started law courts, Indian barristers are going there. So we are cooperating with them. And we can only take off the British rule by non-cooperation. They said that we shall start this non-cooperation against the Rowlatt Act, against Jallianwala Bagh, against this Khilafat issue, and demand Swaraj. You know what Swaraj means? Self-rule, right? And demand what here? Swaraj. What we will be actually doing in non-cooperation. Now the leaders ask, Acha, what is your plan? What we are going to do? So the plan is to boycott. Right? Boycott Britishers, and that is what is known as non-cooperation. We are going to surrender their titles. We will be boycotting civil services. That means no one take part in the exam. No one go to work if you are a civil servant. Right? You're working for whom? Britishers. No one join the army. No one join the police. Indian people. Don't go to courts. Boycott the legislative councils. Stop going to schools. Stop going to government offices. Teachers will not go to teach in the British school, then students will not go to the schools. This is what boycott means. ठीक है, is it clear or not? Now Gandhi ji said to the members of Indian National Congress, beta, if government used repression against us, if we do so, then we will be launching civil disobedience. We will be launching what? Civil disobedience. In this we are just non-cooperating, right? But afterwards we will be starting civil disobedience. However, it was not started though. Now what is the issue? Did the members got agree? Beta, what happened? Rest all other matters were okay. ठीक है, the issue raised on this boycott of legislative council. Now what is this council? Pay attention. Legislative council of Britishers. Legislative council where laws were being made. Now we are aware that after East India Company, the powers went into the hand of Britishers. Right? So here a legislative council was made by Britishers. Initially they were all white men. Later on some of the rights were given to some percentage of people, very few, all over they were. So now he said that we shall boycott the legislative council. But do you know that Indian National Congress is a political party and those members were political members? They said that no, this is against. This is the only place we are standing equal to that of Britishers. We are sitting in that legislative council. Whenever British pass any act, actually we are raising voice over there. If we boycott that, then there is a problem. Some of the people were not aligned to that. But beta, in the Indian National Congress session of Nagpur, December 1920, the same year, okay, abhi we have the Congress session in September 1920 and that was in Calcutta. Okay, where this NCM, non-cooperation movement, was presented by Gandhiji to the members of Indian National Congress. Then the issue raised over legislative council. However, they again meet at the Indian National Congress session in Nagpur where the compromise was done and this non-cooperation movement was adopted. Okay, and this non-cooperation movement was adopted. However, there is one party in Madras which actually participated in legislative council and did not follow that because that was made by lower class people and they believe that we have to fight. Okay, get it? Now this is the complete story. So when was the Indian National Congress adopted the non-cooperation movement? It was in the session of December 1920 at Nagpur. Again, this is a map of question going to come in your exam for sure. Okay, getting the story. So we are moving towards which movement, beta? We are moving towards non-cooperation movement in India. We are moving towards what? Non-cooperation movement in India. Before that, let's solve a question and the question says assertion. The council elections were boycotted in most provinces except Madras. I just told you yes. Okay, the reason is in many places merchants and traders refuse to trade in foreign goods or finance foreign trade. Do you believe that the statement has any context? No. However, both the statements are true but not the reason of each other. Hence, B is the correct answer for this question. Okay, clear? Great. Now, coming towards the non-cooperation movement. See, the non-cooperation movement started by Indian National Congress, idealized by Mahatma Gandhi on the basis of boycott. The boycott of foreign goods, the foreign services, the foreign institution. However, the situation of India at that time was not same. There were towns people were quite rich. There were villages where farming was done. There were tribal areas too. So this movement have different strands within the different location. Right? There was one demand in this movement. What was that? And that was to get Swaraj. Swaraj means again self-rule. There was one demand in this movement, that was Swaraj. And you know that all these people in the different location had their own definition of Swaraj. But at that time there was no line of communication. There was no transport as such. It took long time for Gandhiji or the members of Indian National Congress to move from one place to another and organize the satyagrah, and it can never be an actually same satyagrah throughout the country. And hence that word Swaraj was misinterpreted sometimes or did not align with the ideology that was started by Indian National Congress. So how we are going to look that, and how the question comes, how Swaraj was different in India during non-cooperation movement. Yeah, what were the different strands within the movement? First, we will talk about the movement in the town. Where we are going to start is in the town. Now see, in the town, who were the major participants? Were the middle class participants. By who were the middle class participants? Obviously, in the towns, middle class are the active one, because they are sandwiched between the rich and the poor one, and the most affected one, I guess, right? So this middle class participants started leaving their schools. Students left the government schools, right, and colleges. The headmasters and the teachers resigned. They left their jobs. The lawyer gave up their legal practices. Elections for legislative councils were boycotted except the Justice Party in Madras. So the party we were talking about in Madras is actually Justice Party. So this was going on. Bonfires were organized, like people were taking the foreign clothes and organizing bonfires, right, outside the shop of foreign liquors. Women at that time were like lower concentration, but picketing was done outside the foreign liquor shops, and this is how the resistance was shown in the non-cooperation movement. Do you know that actually its impact was great? And here question comes, what was the economic impact of the movement in the town, that was non-cooperation movement? Beta, foreign goods boycotted, liquor shops picketed, foreign clothes burned in bonfires. What will happen? Think about it, a country that is importing and importing foreign goods in India. Why? Because they were getting a lot of profit. We were actually buying them, and all of a sudden the people stopped it. What will happen? Their economy will go down. Import of foreign goods in 1920-21 dropped from 102 crore to 57 crores. And actually, this is what we can say, some victory in one form or another, right? So this was the movement in the town. The Swaraj was actually interpreted in a correct way in the town. Now let's move to the next one, that is rebellion in the countryside. By the countryside, I'm actually meaning the villages where farmers were there, right? The peasants were there. What happened, Namita? Here there is the case, just single case is given regarding a place, that is Awadh. Okay, in Awadh, what happened? There was a peasant movement organized by a person known as Baba Ramchandra. Okay, who was he by? Baba Ramchandra was an indentured labor. Okay, indentured labor, by this I mean that a labor who was working without any payment. Okay, without any payment. Actually, he was sent to Fiji. If you guys know, you studied in like last year Indian Fiji and the indigenous Fiji. So Fiji, they were sent to Fiji and worked there as an indentured labor. When he came back, he fought for the peasants. Okay, and that movement is known as Awadh peasant movement. Why was he fighting? By what were the issues? The issue was begari. Begari again means working without what? Payment. So Britishers were asking the peasants to work on the farm without giving any payment, this begari system, and there was no security of tenure. Lands were given to them, but they were taken away by them. So there was no land for the peasants, no job security, no food, obviously. What were the demands? First was to abolition this begari, reduction of the revenue. The Britishers were taking the revenue as they were asked, the peasants were asked to work on the field. So a portion was taken as the revenue, okay, and social boycott of oppressive landlords. So basically, Britishers assigned landlords the responsibility, okay, to bring as much as revenue from this place. In that, these landlords became oppressive to the peasants, asking them to give surplus amount of their produce to the landlords and then eventually to the Britishers. Right? They were even not getting paid, and hence begari system was being practiced here. So this was the demand in this Awadh peasant movement. You know what they did? The rebellions such as Nai Dhobi Bands were organized. Nai Dhobi basically, who were Nai and Dhobi, the people cutting, barbers and all. They were also doing strikes. June 1920, Jawaharlal Nehru reached this place, Awadh, and even analyzed the situation and formed all the Kisan Sabha to support them during the time of non-cooperation movement. So somewhere see different people in the country hearing that Gandhiji asked to demand the Swaraj, Gandhiji asked to do the non-cooperation movement, they were doing, but everyone's what issues were different. Here the issue was high revenue. See, here people are not talking about getting freedom. Here people are talking about freedom from their issues, because that was the situation of India. They were not seeking for larger respect. They were seeking for their respect because they were traumatized and humiliated by Britishers a lot. Similarly, let us move and see to the issue in the tribal areas, beta. Tribal areas, here the example is taken, just a small example taken from Gudam Hills of Andhra Pradesh. Gudam Hills of Andhra Pradesh. Now, what happened in this Gudam Hills of Andhra Pradesh? The issue is regarding 1920s, but a tribal region, right? If we say tribal people, they feel that they are indigenous, right? Indigenous to their forest. Indigenous to their forest. So, as Britishers came in India, they wanted maximum benefit out of India by obviously they needed to just extract the revenue. So, what they did, they targeted these regions which have lot of minerals. It can be forest wealth, it can be animal wealth, and it can be anything. So in this region, what they did, they took the control of those forests which were belonging to tribal people, and the tribal people were unhappy, right? The tribal people were unhappy because this colonial government closed for them the forest area which were lifeline for them, bacha. Right? They were getting the forest extract, selling it in the market, living till livelihood and using the products in their day-to-day life. And were even asked to contribute in the Begar, and they were like, Acha, my freedom is being taken. Let's do the rebellion. What was the rebellion? The guerrilla warfare technique was used. They were just hiding and killing those Britishers. We know that tribal people do that, right? So now, this particular event was headed by Alluri Sitaraman Raju. Who was he? Alluri Sitaraman Raju, if you can connect with the movie also, right? RRR. So, Raju was inspired by Gandhiji's idea. See, here, Gandhiji's idea, he was inspired, but there was one difference between Gandhiji and RRR. Sorry, one difference between Gandhiji and Alluri Sitaraman Raju was that he believed that violence should be used. Okay. However, he asked people to use khadi and give up drinking. Okay, so that foreign liquor can be boycotted, foreign clothes can be boycotted as asked by Gandhiji. He said that India can be liberated only through force. He started killing British officers, targeting British officers and using violence. But what happened? Raju was captured and executed in 1924 and became just a folk hero. Not just the word I'm using is wrong, but became a folk hero for the country. Getting my point? And this is what was going in tribal area. Again, the word Swaraj, the issue behind non-cooperation movement for the tribal people was different. Getting my point? And this is how the movement started in the tribal belt of India. Okay, let's have a quick question for refreshment. Now, assertion. In Awadh, the peasants were led by Alluri Sitaraman Raju. Now, what is fishy in this question? This Awadh is fishy. Why? Because in Awadh, the peasants was led by whom? Tell me fast. Whom? Baba Ramchandra. Not Alluri Sitaraman Raju. So hence this assertion statement is totally wrong. So basically when this is wrong, this is deleted for obvious, and this is also deleted for obvious. We are left with two options. No, we are just left with, acha, we will read the next point. The movement here was against Audh Kisan Sabha. This was against Audh Kisan Sabha. No, this was against Britishers, and hence here both the statements are wrong. D is the very obvious correct answer to this question. This is how you have to solve the MCQs. Next point. Right? The event is still not over. The non-cooperation movement has one more place, one more strands, and that was Swaraj in the plantation. What is this by? Basically, bacha, what happened na? Britishers were engaged in an activity that is known as plantation. Why? See, plantation here means growing of commercial crops. Okay, growing of commercial crops that actually gives profit to the Britishers. The crops like tea, like coffee, like cotton, like sugarcane. These were commercial crops, right? What happened, beta? Large scale tea and coffee consumption was the part of European culture. And the place after China where tea and coffee can be cultivated, the best place was India. They find it. Okay, they made us the colony. Now what happened, na beta? They passed an act. Okay, when they started this plantation system, they passed an act, that is Inland Immigration Act 1859. Now, what is this by? Harsh was it is. Harsh it was. My English, goddamn. So, Inland Immigration Act 1859, when workers were not allowed, pay attention, the workers, the peasants who were asked here to work, were not allowed to leave the tea garden without permission. Now, tea garden, where? Do you think that they are in the local areas? No. In Assam, Darjeeling, then in South India somewhere. What happened? In these tea gardens, the workers were being employed, right? Taken from different parts of India who wanted money, right? Who were poor. And taking them, living to these gardens and asking them not to leave it without their permission. And do you think they will give the permission? Never. Regarding their marriage also, they were not getting the permission. So when workers heard of this non-cooperation movement, they started leaving the tea gardens, heading up to their home, that now we are going to get what? Gandhian rule. And Gandhian rule is going to replace the British rule in India. So they thought Gandhian Raj will be coming. Caught by Britishers and was beaten up badly, and hence tribal interpreted the word Swaraj in their own way and chanted Swatantra Bharat. Now the picture might be clear to you how the movement was different in the different parts of India, how there were different strands of the movement, and how did the people of India interpreted this word Swaraj differently. Okay, now where we started the story that non-cooperation movement will be started. It was accepted in the Indian National Congress at Nagpur 1920. The movement was going at different places in the town, in the countryside, in the plantation area. And what happened? The movement was going, people were participating, the boycott was made the part. But now an event will happen that is going to change everything, and the event is Chauri Chaura event. Okay, now what happened at Chauri Chaura? So beta, Chauri Chaura is a place in Gorakhpur. Okay, Chauri Chaura is a place in Gorakhpur, that is in Uttar Pradesh. Right? What was happening as a part of this non-cooperation movement, right? As a part of this non-cooperation movement, what was happening? Peaceful demonstration was going in Bazaar, right? So the peaceful demonstration was going in Bazaar, and then what happened? The Britishers, but Britishers were not peaceful at all. So Britishers started this violent clash, okay? They started this violent clash. What happened? Now, because of this violent clash with the people who were peacefully protesting, the people get agitated, and they fired the police station. And literally they fired what? The police station, where 22 British policemen were died. So the incident was at the place Chauri Chaura, Gorakhpur. People were protesting peacefully. British enters, lathi charge on them, and in response the people of India, because see, this is the time, yeah, they are doing the movement, they are doing this boycott from 1 year, leaving their jobs, leaving their schools, leaving their everything behind, and the economy is also very bad at that time. So they also become angry. They fired the police station. 22 policemen were killed. And here Gandhiji took a call to halt the non-cooperation movement. That means to withdraw the non-cooperation movement, because it was longer time, no result was coming, and here violence started. Which could take like a negative, it is something to be not judged of, but here is how what non-cooperation movement was withdrawn, and this is a picture regarding that. But here, whenever I'm adding any picture in the slide, that is taken right from your NCERT book, and those pictures are very, very, very important for you. So consider those pictures as very important for you. ठीक है. So the story of the non-cooperation movement started, and here the non-cooperation movement was withdrawn. But do you think that the future movement will stop? No. Here I have some questions for you. Why Gandhi ji decided to withdraw the non-cooperation movement? So you have to write the event of Chauri Chaura. This question can come for 2 marks, and this event is 1922 at Gorakhpur, Uttar Pradesh. ठीक है. Who participated in the non-cooperation movement? Beta, here you have to write all of them, like middle class participants in the towns, peasants in the countryside, then tribal people, and then we have Swaraj plantation workers. Swaraj plantation workers or self plantation workers demanding for Swaraj, ठीक है, and plantation workers. So these were the participants in the non-cooperation movement. Question can also come in a way that tell how the people took or interpreted the word Swaraj differently. Then also we have to write about these people and tell their interpretation. Okay, next is about what was the economic impact of non-cooperation movement in the town. We studied beta that their import dropped down from 102 CR to 57 CR. Why? Because foreign clothes were burned, foreign liquor was picketed, and bonfires were organized in the country. Okay, these are all important questions. These are all to be written by you. I believe that after watching this video, everything might be so clear in your mind that you just start practicing the questions. You know, I have a theory of 2 questions a day makes you a topper, and that theory is actually very true. It is just you need to follow that theory. Okay, chalo, great. Now we are moving towards what? Civil disobedience movement. Now how, ma'am? Beta, see, non-cooperation movement was withdrawn, but they were after this non-cooperation movement, or there is a like revolt, repression, that cycle goes on and on. Non-cooperation movement was considered as a revolt, not in the like violent manner, in a peaceful manner. Then it was repressed after a violent incident. But do you believe that now everything will stop? No, there comes a phase of truce, but eventually there were certain events happening in the country which will lead us towards the next movement in this freedom struggle of India, that is civil disobedience movement. That's what, beta, civil disobedience movement. Now what are the factors that led us towards that event, right? So what happened now when non-cooperation movement was took off? Obviously, do you feel that everyone might be happy? No, you are not happy listening to that we started a movement, worked so much, and then it withdrawn. I believe that you're not happy. Similarly, the National Congress, some of the members were actually not happy with the decision of taking off the movement. A major thing was that we boycotted Legislative Council. We boycotted the elections, and what happened? The movement brought no positive impact in our freedom struggle, and the people were quite unhappy with this. As a result of which, the members like C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru, C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru formed a party, that is Swaraj Party. It was within the Indian National Congress. It was the part of it. I am not telling you that it was separate party. There were a group of members within the Congress. They started what? Swaraj Party, and here they wanted what? They wanted that there should be entry open again to the Legislative Council elections. Legislative Council elections, bacha. Okay, so now they are back to the Legislative Council election. Whatever is the next election, they are going to participate in. They are not going to boycott the Legislative Council at the part of NCM in any future movement too. This was the idea of C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru, and during this time in Indian National Congress, certain young leaders or young faces were also coming, like Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose, who adopted a radical approach. Which type of approach they adopted? Was a radical approach. Radical approach means they will be speaking outrightly about the points. They are not saying that we will do violence, but radical one, more strict towards the Britishers, more against towards the Britishers. We are not going to join our hands and tell about the Britishers that our demands are that. We will snatch our demands. Okay, this is what radical approach is. Now what was happening? So this politics of India, right? Politics of India after the event of Chauri Chaura, that is 1922, or what I can say 1920s, later 1920s was like shaped by two factors. And what are they, bhai? Right? The first one is effect of worldwide economic depression. Yes. See, India was facing depression because of First World War, but similar First World War created a negative impact in the world also. If you guys are aware about Nazism chapter, you studied that around 929 the world was facing an economic depression, and we indirectly faced a lot. So there was the effect of worldwide economic depression. Prices were increasing, everything became costly, and the common people were struggling a lot. There were a lot of famines and the crop failures at different places of India. That was the part. One reason is that. Again, another reason. And that reason is coming up of this commission that is known as Simon Commission. Arey bhai, what is the Simon Commission? Beta, for the political development of India, for ruling India, when East India Company left India and the Britishers came, they started passing Act. And that act actually contains the constitutional and political development of India, that for the next few years we will be following this. This plan will be adopted, this type of elections will happen, Indian members will get this much of number, later if it is increased, setting up of legislative councils and assemblies, and all that plan was being done by Act. Okay? So in 1919 an act was passed that is popularly known as Government of India Act. Connect the dots here, connect the dots. In 1919 an Government of India Act was passed, and this said that after 10 years, okay, after 10 years we will be forming a commission for India. We will be forming what? A commission of India that will actually look at what worked for India but what did not work in this act. Okay, that will analyze the political development done in this act and will also advise for future constitutional development. Again, what is constitutional development? What is constitution? Rule book for the country. Okay, so it is the rule book for the country. So this is how the country will work. These were the laws, etc. So it was planned in 1919 that after 10 years this commission will come, but according to this the commission should come in 1929. There are a lot of changes in the British government thereafter, and hence the commission was brought 2 years early. That means in 1927 the commission was formed. Okay? The commission was headed by a person, Sir John Simon. Okay, the commission was headed by a person, Sir John Simon, okay, and he was brought with other members to do what? To look into the functioning of the Constitution of India or the constitutional development in India. One strange thing happened in this commission. But there were 7 members in this commission and there was no single Indian members in 1927. Right, 1927, which we are equally standing with you in the Legislative Council also, and the people of India said that, Acha, we are demanding for Swaraj, we wanted freedom from you, and you are making the constitution, not even trying to discuss it with any single Indian member. So what do you think? They will just welcome Simon Commission? No. In 1928, okay, in 1928 this Simon Commission headed by Sir John Simon landed in India, and it was greeted with the slogan Simon Go Back. So there was large scale protest against this Simon Commission in India. People was fluttering the black flags. Right, they were chanting all over the Simon Go Back, the popular slogan we also use some days. Right, so this is how it comes. So there comes a question, why Indian people were against the Simon Commission, because there was no single Indian member in that. Getting my point? And all over India, what was seen, beta, what we can say that against this commission, the anger of Indians was seen here. Now what happened? At this time, there was an viceroy. There was a viceroy, Irwin. People call him Lord Irwin. We as Indians not need to add that Lord before. However, so Now here there was a viceroy, Irwin, right? Irwin got scared. Irwin smelled that something is going to come from Indians, right? Something is going to come from Indians. He smelled that. So he was scared because he know the history of Gandhiji. He know about what happened in non-cooperation movement. He don't want to like make his picture bad in front of the British officials. So he came with an offer. Right? He came with an offer. He thought that let me go and give this offer to the Indian members and they will get agree. He said that this is a vague offer, by the way. This is a vague offer. They said, Acha, you guys were asking for dominion status, na? We are going to give you. You know what dominion status is? So, dominion status is a concept which we were demanding right back in non-cooperation movement because that was early stage of freedom struggle. The dominion status here means that, beta, dominion. There will be dominance of Britishers, right? There will be dominance of Britishers, but in the government, there will be all Indian members. Like the planning will be done by Britishers, but in the legislative council, how many members are there, they will be all Indian in nature. This is dominion status. He came with a vague offer. I will give you dominion status. And for the constitutional development of country, let's meet in London. We will do a round table conference, right? We will do what? A round table conference. Let's come and catch up in London. Everyone will be called from India. All your representatives can come. We will discuss what do you need and all that. Irwin came with this offer in front of Indian National Congress and Gandhiji, and Indian National Congress treated him like, bro, are you serious? We are going to accept dominion status in 1928? No, that time where Indian National Congress had radical leaders, Jawaharlal Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose, they were coming in front in the picture who were totally against these ideas of Britishers. So it was Lahore session of Indian National Congress. Which session? It was Lahore session of Indian National Congress in December 1929. And in what? December 1929, all those members met, and every year, a propaganda for the next year was decided by the Congress. And this time, the demand by the Congress was Purna Swaraj. What do we mean by Purna Swaraj? Bacha, it is complete independence. Again, a question, MCQ question. In which session complete independence was adopted by Indian National Congress? Lahore session 1929. Again, a map for question 2. Okay? So the question is, Lahore session Indian National Congress, Purna Swaraj was adopted. The story is somewhere like that. So this session was organized in the month of December, 31st around. People met there. And even on 31st December, on the bank of river Ravi, the tricolor flag for very first time was unfurled by Jawaharlal Nehru on the bank of river Ravi. And they all decided there that, bhai, we will come together, we will meet in the last Sunday or Saturday something in the month of January and celebrate the Independence Day, that we demand Purna Swaraj, complete independence. Now we are not going to barter you with this dominion status. Right? So that date was 26th of January. That date was 26th of January. On this day, first time Independence Day was celebrated, and hence we celebrate Republic Day on this date. Right? So if you remember in class 9th, you studied class 8th also, that constitution was made on 26th of November 1949. But why do we celebrate the Republic Day on 26th January? To keep this date relevant in history. So, beta, 31st January, right, 1930, 31st of, pay attention, Lahore session, Indian National Congress, Purna Swaraj was demanded. Talks between the National Congress was going on that we are going to start the movement. And it was on 31st of January, 1930. Again, after this Independence Day on 31st of January 1930, Gandhiji sent a letter to Irwin, like Irwin did, na? So, response to him with the way of this vague offer with these points. So, Gandhiji sent a letter to Irwin that, bhai, see, these are my 11 demands. You are somewhere who are trying to barter with us. Then listen. These are some 11 demands of us. If you accept these demands, then we are okay not to start a movement. But if you won't, we are very, very much ready to start the movement, all India nationwide movement in India. Okay, so he sent these 11 demands. By the way, if you have a question that, ma'am, what were the 11 demands? There were a lot of demands, basic demands like abolition of inhuman taxes. In one of them was salt tax, reduce the defense expenditure that was actually affecting Indian economy, and a lot more like that. And a lot more like that were like increasing the budget for Indian economic sector, okay? Reducing for expenses for army and basic something like that. So what happened? Do you think that Irwin will agree those 11 demands? No, Irwin came in anger like, Acha, you are asking to fulfill your demands to me. I am not going to do that. And we were like ready. We were very ready to start a movement, and that movement was known as Civil Disobedience Movement. That is known as what? Civil Disobedience Movement. In the history, wherever you study the books, you will find the picture of Gandhiji marching towards somewhere along with some members. The popular picture, here it is, right? It is connected to the movement, Civil Disobedience Movement. Now, what is the Civil Disobedience Movement? Beta, in this movement, salt is taken as a powerful symbol that could unite the nation. And you are thinking that, ma'am, salt? A movement is started on the issue of salt? So, no, it is not just the issue of salt. We know the background up till now, but it was taken as a basis. You know that there was one great thing which I particularly like about Gandhiji is that he know how to change a local issue into the nationwide issue, not worldwide. Okay, local issue into the nationwide issue. So salt is something that is consumed by every Indian, irrespective of which religion they follow, which caste they belong to. Either they are economically rich or poor, or whatever they are. So it is consumed by everyone in the country. And you know what Britishers were doing? Very inhuman thing. They were applying tax on the consumption and salt, and even they said that there will be the monopoly for the production of salt only into the hands of Britishers. By you are making salt from Indian territory, right? From the sea water, ocean water, and taking the monopoly, no Indian company or no Indian person can make the salt, and that was the inhuman part of it. So you are making the salt, you are applying the tax, and who is consuming it? Indian, every Indian. And hence salt was taken as a powerful symbol of resistance during this movement. Okay, and here it started when 11 demands were not fulfilled till 11th of March. CDM was launched, that is Civil Disobedience was launched with a popular salt march, also known as Dandi March. Okay, this salt march was started by Gandhiji and 78 of his volunteers. It was started by 78 and people later joined him on the way. From where was it started by? So it was started from his Sabarmati ashram where he used to stay, and they moved to Dandi. What is Dandi? Dandi is a coastal town. Okay? Dandi is a coastal town in Gujarat. So everyone moved towards Dandi. The way towards Dandi was 240 miles. How much it is? 240 miles. It took 24 days to them to complete this 240 miles, covering just 10 miles in a day. Collecting people, giving speeches, creating an impact on the people regarding the freedom struggle. And during this time, one important thing that we saw was also the participation of women, which was actually not so much in non-cooperation movement. Now what happened? What happened, beta? 6th of April, they reached the coast of Dandi and violated the salt law. How? By making the salt. So see, non-cooperation matlab shanti, like peacefully, they are just not following the rules of Britishers. Here they are breaking the law. This is the difference between non-cooperation and civil disobedience. A question can be asked regarding this. Okay? So this is how we started Salt March. We started the civil disobedience movement in the history of India. Hope this is also clear. Now what will be done, bhai? Tell me the steps as they were in non-cooperation movement. So some things are common, some things are different. So how civil disobedience movement is different from non-cooperation, beta? What are the steps taken? They broke the law. One among them was salt law. Foreign clothes boycotted, obviously. Liquor shops were picketed. Peasants refused to pay the revenue and chowkidari tax. Village officials resigned from their post, and people violated the forest laws also this time. Right now, do you think that government will welcome them and say that, "Arey bhai, do the revolt against us"? No, why? So their response was very harsh this time, very bad. Irwin, which used to be a soft person in the starting, he was sounding like that he is bringing the offer for us, resulted into disaster. Congress leaders were arrested. Why? They were trying to make the movement without the leaders. They were saying that how can people manage without leaders? So actually it affected also when there were no leaders, so there were no direction to the people. So the Congress leaders were arrested. There were violent clashes. Abdul Ghaffar Khan was in the region of Pakistan at that time, and he was a follower of Gandhiji. He is also popularly known as Frontier Gandhi. So he was also arrested. People protested on the streets of Peshawar. Demonstrators were killed. Mahatma Gandhi even is arrested. Peaceful satyagrahis were attacked. Women and children were beaten. About 1 lakh people were arrested. See, 1 lakh people who are just protesting against the British policies and the laws. And this was the response of Britishers during civil disobedience movement. Okay, now the picture will go. Why I'm telling the picture? Actually, it is a reality just to make you feel connected in the chapter. Okay, so that you don't feel bored and feel like stopping the video right now. No, I know that chapter is long, chapter is very good, beta. I feel that whenever we study Indian history now, we should feel it. If you are able to feel it when I am teaching, then it's a like big thing, right? So now what happened? Discuss about the Salt March and tell how Salt March acted as a symbol of resistance. Very important question. Very important question. Can be asked either for 3 marks, okay, or for 5 marks. Acha, here one question can separately ask to you that why, right? Why salt was chosen, right? Why salt was chosen in civil disobedience movement, or they can ask as symbol of resistance, right? As symbol of resistance. So here the exact reason is in the slide only, that it was consumed by individual. Every individual, irrespective of whatever they are. Right? And about the tax and monopoly, these are the 2 points which you have to write when question is being asked. Okay? Now beta, before telling you who were the participants in the movement, let me tell you the further story. What happened? There was so much of repression, local leaders were arrested, everyone was in jail, even Gandhiji was in jail, and then Irwin got the idea. This Irwin is like a problem. Irwin got an idea, went to jail where Gandhiji was arrested to have a talk with him. And here is what is signed, is known as what? Gandhi-Irwin Pact. Date, that is 5th of March 1931. 5th of March, bacha, what? 1931, when Gandhi-Irwin Pact was signed. What happened? Right? What happened? Irwin went to Gandhiji for negotiation. He said that, "Acha, you asked for those 11 demands, let me fulfill them." Okay? Irwin said that. Gandhiji was happy. Gandhiji thought that, yeah, he is a good person. He is saying this, right? But in response, Irwin said that we also have 2 demands. You keep your 11 demands, we just keeping our 2 demands, and one is to stop the civil disobedience movement right now, and to attend the round table conference. Acha, let me tell you that the round table conference, one round table conference is already organized, in which Indian National Congress, nobody from Indian National Congress went. Other members went, but not from Indian National Congress. So he was demanding Gandhiji to attend this second round table conference, okay? That is going to be organized in the month of December in 1931. Where? In London. So he came with an offer that by we accept your demand, you accept our demand. Now, in those 11 demands were also the release of the political activist. Okay? But Irwin said that yes, we will release all those people who are not found to be guilty. Not found to be guilty. Gandhiji thought that everything will be fine. See, and this pact was signed between Gandhi Irwin that withdraw the CDM, and here Indian National Congress accepted the offer to attend the second roundtable conference. Gandhiji went there and there were discussions, and what happened? The discussions failed because of no alignment within the Indians over the issue of lower class. Right? So here there was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar representing the untouchables of that time, right? The community that were considered as untouchables for longer period of time in India. They were demanding for a separate electorate system. I will explain that in detail. Hold on, do not get confused. And those negotiations didn't work, and not only this single reason, nothing worked there as proposed by Britishers, and here Gandhiji came back disappointed. Okay, now what we did? We stopped the CDM, we decided to go second roundtable conference, and we were expecting that Irwin will release our political members, but he did not. Everything went in opposed to us, right? Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, Rajguru, we know about them. And now the point is not that Gandhiji alone is responsible for this event, but the situations were somewhere made betrayed. Right? And here the point is not about only that issue, right? It comes in alignment with this whole scenario going on right now. What happened? Beta? So he offered to attend roundtable conference. He did. Negative impact. He came back and he started relaunched the CDM movement. What do you think? People were exhausted, yaar. People were participating in CDM since 1930s. And it is 1932 somewhere, 33 somewhere, and the momentum lost. And it is that 2.0 CDM was also stopped or withdrawn after that. Okay? Because when Gandhiji started this CDM 2.0, there was brutal repression this time, right? Last time, I would say that Britishers were somewhere okay. This time, they were more bad. I can call it okay at that time also. But what I mean to make you clear that this time, they were worst. Leaders arrested. Congress was declared illegal. Everyone was repressed. Lathi charge. People were being killed. And this was the situation when CDM 2.0 was launched. Okay, I mean it was relaunched. So again there was withdrawal and the failure of a movement, that is civil disobedience movement. Arrange the following events in correct sequence to make your mood light after just reading this complete Indian history, a question in front of you. It will not make you feel light, however. So arrange the following in correct sequence. Beta, whenever we are learning this, focus on the dates, like Gandhi Irwin Pact, 5th of March 1931. So it is 5th of March 1931. Gandhiji sent letter to Lord Irwin. It is 31st of January 1930. Okay? He sent the letter, however, it was not accepted. Violation of salt law by Mahatma Gandhi. So this was in 6th of April, again 1930. So what is the event first? It is 2, 3 and 1. The correct answer to this question will be B. That is 2, 3 and 1. Correct answer to the question will be B. That is 2, 3 and 1. Clear? Okay? The story is somewhere like this. CDM was withdrawn. But who participated in this movement? Who were actually the participants in these movement? So here is the list of participants over here. Here is the list of participants in this movement. Okay? The first is beta rich peasants, then there were poor peasants, there were business class, industrial worker, and one more is added here, that is women. We have to talk about all of them in detail one by one. We have to talk about all of them in detail one by one. Getting my point? So first we will cover the participation of rich peasants. Now rich peasants, yes, obviously they have large lands and they were doing commercial business for Britishers. They were growing crops and all. Right? And Britishers' policy somewhere impacted them, obviously. So there were groups in India like Patidars of Gujarat, Jats of UP who were having that large lands. Why did they participated in the movement? Because, beta, they were the people who were exporting grains outside India. and it outside India. Now what happened? They were hit by trade depressions and falling prices. So you know about what is happening in the world. First World War, second situation for the Second World War, trade depression all throughout India, and all this was going on and on. So what happened? There were people in India growing grains for export. Okay? When they were exporting this grain, large number of custom duties, or what we can say high taxes, was applied on them. So when high taxes were applied on them, they are what? They are paying more but getting less, and that is what is known as failure of foreign reserves. Okay? So basically government refused to reduce. In one point is there, custom duties were increased day by day, but there will be no reduction of revenue. There was no reduction of revenue. The disappointed people started participating in the movement, and they were the people who were so much disappointed after the withdrawal of 1931, because see, rich people somewhere also give money to the political parties, also getting sponsorship. Obviously, how the political parties will run, so they give a lot of support to the political parties at that time. Okay? So they were disappointed because they was not like happy with the rise of revenue by the Britishers. Next, workers, small peasants, right? Peasants who are working on another people's land. Again, the same is about the reduction of revenue. By there was high revenue, no profit was getting by peasants, and these people were like the most affected by the Britishers. Right? They were not even able to pay the rents to the tenants. So these were not the rich landlords, right? Now see the situation. At least these people were having their own land. They were just paying the revenue. Now these people are taking the lands on rent. They are paying the rent also to the tenants, and they are paying the revenue also to the Britishers. What they are getting? Nothing. So Congress unwilling to support no tax campaign. One their issue is that, so they decided that we are not going to pay this tax and no rent to the people. That was popularly known as no tax campaign. However, this was not accepted by Congress at that time. They considered that it will be the worst situation. We have to pay the taxes and all that. So the relation of this poor peasantry group in the civil disobedience movement left uncertain. Some of them who were like, we can consider them as middle class peasantry group, they participated. Some of them did not participate. Rich peasants participated. Poor peasants, situation remains uncertain. Now come to business class owners and the working class in those businesses. Now again, the scenario is they are North Pole and South Pole. They are the owners and they are the workers. Will they have cordial relation? No, bhai. They themselves will not have. Obviously, your boss is not liked to you by anyone. The situation is same. So, this business class people in civil disobedience movement demanded protection against import of foreign goods. Obviously, what happened? These business class are the people who are making the products in India. Who are making what, beta? The products in India. Now, what is happening? They are being challenged by the imports of foreign goods, the cheap foreign goods that is made only possible because we are giving them the raw products. So, if this competition is affecting their business, okay, rupee sterling foreign exchange ratio that will discourage imports. Now, what was this? Now what happened, beta? See, this is a country, England, Britain or England, okay? And this is India. India is a colony of this country, England. Now they want more and more profit. This country, India, is giving raw materials to Britain, right? They are taking this raw material as their right. Their right. No charges on it, okay? Making the products from this raw material, finished products like for example cotton, bringing it to the Indian market and selling it. When they are bringing this, so here a custom duty or tax is being applied. Whenever you move the product from one place to another, tax is being allowed. Now, who is collecting this tax? They themselves are collecting this tax. So, this was the issue. But when an Indian product is exported to England to sell, right? High custom duty is applied on them. So these people, this business class people, are facing this issue that their product is expensive in other market. However, the Britishers' product is not expensive in the other market, and hence what happened? The rupee sterling foreign exchange ratio is not balanced. So they were asking to balance it. Okay, so in response to that, they also formed Indian Industrial and Commercial Congress in 1920. They were also organizing their small groups, and like FICCI, Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industries in 1927 by prominent big industrialists of that time like Purushottam Thakurdas and G.D. Birla, Tata, and all those people. Okay, getting my point here? So beta, so this is how business class was, and business class was having money, even like supporting the National Congress, providing, sponsoring all those movements and all. But so these were the participants. Okay, now what is the case of the working class? By actually very few of them participated. They did not participate in large number except the region, that is Nagpur region. Except one region, that is Nagpur region. So Congress was reluctant to include the workers' demand. Obviously, by why? Because these business class are there. What they are demanding? Increase in income, increase in salary. So somewhere it was influenced by business class that they were not including the demands of the workers. They were somewhere reluctant because they also wanted the support of money-minded people, right? So workers adopted certain Gandhian propaganda like boycott foreign goods and do the strike, because they were also aligned with that foreign goods needs to be like not imported in India. As foreign clothes will not be imported, Indian clothes will grow. When these will make profit, they will get the more salary. So some of the issues they were aligned with, but actually there was no cordial relation between both the classes, and hence they did not participate in the civil disobedience movement. Okay, and now important topic of this part is about women. Now, what is the important topic? The important topic is about the participation of women. Okay? If we talk about the participation of women in NCM, non-cooperation movement, very low. Very low. Again, we know that Indian society, the beliefs of Indians, where women were just allowed to be in their home and all that. But this time in the CDM, when Salt March was organized by Gandhiji, many women walked along with him, and one among them was Sarojini Naidu. Right? It's just one example, we have a lot more. So yes, large-scale participation of women was seen in this movement. They participated in the protest marches, manufactured salt, picketed liquor shops and foreign clothes. They even went to jail. Lot of women, will talk about them. So on Gandhiji's call, they started to see service to nation as sacred duty of women. So up till now, only the sacred duty of women was seen, that service to home. Say that your nation is your home and pay service to it. Start participating in the movement and have your identity. Okay? This was how the women participated in large scale. But there were some people who did not participate, and these were the limitations to civil disobedience movement. See that India also have politics behind. Indian National Congress and other parties were also having the politics behind, right? And that politics led to the partition of India somewhere. So what were the limitations to civil disobedience movement? There were two groups reluctant to join the civil disobedience movement. One was Muslims and the other ones were untouchables. Muslims and untouchables. First we will talk about this group, untouchables. So somewhere in between I talk about these untouchables during that second round table conference when Gandhiji went to London, right? Now what happened na beta? If we talk about like past, in the Rig Vedic times, and then come the later Vedic period, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, that Shudra later on become Ati Shudra, and the situation worsened. They were treated as untouchables. If we walked there from somewhere, the streets were being cleansed. And the situation was worse. We are not going to talk about that. Okay? But so the Congress ignored untouchables for a long period of time. But here Gandhiji started calling them Harijan. Harijan means the child of the God. ठीक है, and wanted to bring them in the mainstream society. Gandhi ji said that why are we separating them as untouchables? Why are we not letting them in the freedom struggle when they are Hindus, right? So what was the demand here of Gandhi ji was to bring what untouchables in the Hindu core society, align them with them. But see, as we pick up our past and we see the ideology of Indians, mentality of Indians, it cannot be changed in a single day. That's very true, right? Gandhiji's idea of this was very great, but its implementation was quite difficult as we talk about Indian society. But yes, he took various steps and that was successful even too. Here comes a leader, that is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was actually representing the untouchable society. Okay? His part was to give rights to the untouchable people because he was the one who faced from childhood the issues. So he was aware that the Indian society now is not going to accept them. So what he did, beta, he put certain demands on behalf of Dalit community. Okay? The Depressed Class Association, a group was formed in 1920 MCQ. Okay, so the Depressed Class Association was formed by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar in 1930. What happened? Right? When that roundtable conference was organized, some demands were presented by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar which were not accepted by Mahatma Gandhi, and that was to reserved seats in education institutions. So there were a lot of education schools, colleges where reserved seats for the community was demanded. Okay, for the community was demanded by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. One more thing was demanded, that was separate electorate. And now what is this, bhai? So beta, let me tell you this concept of separate electorate. Okay? Separate electorate is a brainchild of Britishers to follow their divide and rule policy for obviously. It was introduced in 1909. First it was for Muslims. Okay? That there will be separate electorate for Hindus and Muslims. 1919 this idea was like increased towards Christians. Okay? Towards Christians, towards Anglo-Indians and more. Now what is this separate electorate? Whenever there will be elections, if a Muslim candidate, okay, a Muslim candidate is fighting for a seat, who will only vote? The Muslims are going to vote. Similar is for Hindus. Similar is for Sikh even. Okay? Similar is for Christians. Now, here Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's demand included separate electorate for what? Dalits also. Now, Gandhiji was totally against this. That by this we are making them alien to their own land. If we give separate electorate, that will actually the victory of Britishers to divide and rule. So it is creating division rather than we should make efforts and do the revolution, creating them, like making them on the same level in Hindu society. Okay? This was the target of Gandhiji, and this is how he was against this demands of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Only one demand was rejected, that was separate electorate. He was okay for like reservation, okay, reserved seats. So what happened? In response to that, Gandhiji went on fast unto death, and after which a Pune Pact was signed. Madan Mohan Malviya like entered into the pact between Gandhiji and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So Pune Pact was signed, and in this pact it was like accepted that the reserved seats will be provided to them in the legislative councils as well as the education sectors, education institution. This is the famous Pune Pact of 1932. And that was the reason that untouchables were not the part of civil disobedience movement. Getting points? Now come to the community, another community, that is Muslim community. Bhai, see, non-cooperation movement was started as a base of Khilafat issue. And now in CDM they are not participating. Now what is the issue? Why there might be a certain loophole happened between the Congress, right? Now what happened? Muslims felt alienated after decline of Khilafat issue. Go back to non-cooperation in your mind and figure out in the non-cooperation which was started on the Khilafat issue where it went. It was all over boycott, and then chori chora in the end. Where is the Khilafat issue? Vanished. Muslim community was not happy, right? So Now what happened there? Basically, see, if we look back at the history of India, after that non-cooperation movement, that period of 1920s to 1930s is a period where a drift between the Hindu and the Muslims was increasing. There were certain demands by Muslims which was not accepted by Hindu groups like Hindu Mahasabha. Okay? First, figure out what were the demands. The demands were such that what happened na beta, when seats were provided to Indians, right, in the legislative communities, legislative councils, sorry, elections were organized. And because of the number of Muslims in the country were less, the seats were less, right? To represent their demands, Muslim League was also formed in around 1908 and all. So what happened when the seats were less? Now they felt that these demands are to be fulfilled. What were the demands? First, reserved seats in central assemblies. Okay, so this point is seen here, that there will be a central assembly for the entire nation. We want reserved seats there because we are less in number. That means minority. First, representation in terms of population in Muslim dominated areas. Now, what is this point here? You are obviously dominating, the population is dominating in that area. There also the representation should be done on the basis of what? On the basis of population. Now Hindus Mahasabha was asking the question, what if we follow the same in the areas where Hindu majority is there, dominance is there? So there was a clash between both of them, which actually led to the, later on we will see that the drift increased, communal politics went and led to the nation divided into two parts where leaders were not coming on the same front, and Britishers had played a very tragic role in that, trying to make that divide and rule policy implemented in this sphere of like time. Okay, so 1928, M.R. Jankar of Hindu Mahasabha denied the proposal and said that this type of reservation or representation cannot be provided to Muslim League. Okay, and these were what? The limitations of CDM. So who did not participate in CDM? There were two groups and the issues are discussed now itself: untouchables and Muslims. Getting my point, beta? So who participated? We have a list. Women, there were industrial workers, there were industrial business class owners, there were poor peasants, there were rich peasants. Rich peasants participation, large scale. Demand, reduction of revenue. Poor peasants did not participate in large scale, but demand was reduction in revenue. Business class participated in large scale, wanted foreign sterling rupee exchange ratio balanced. And then the workers, they were not participating in large number. Then women participated large scale. 5 active participants of CDM, and here we studied that why it was withdrawn because of Gandhi-Irwin Pact. Okay? Pact signed between Mahatma Gandhi and Irwin. CDM dropped away, withdrawn. Now what happened? The chapter ends. Chapter ends with a topic that is sense of collective belonging. But before moving to that topic, I would love to share you some of the points what happened after CDM, beta. Okay? So if I tell you, this non-cooperation movement was largely seen during the time of 1921 to 22. Between there was lot of revolutionary activities going on. Okay, lot of revolutionary activities going on, and along with that there was coming of Simon Commission too. The events, major events were there. Okay? Then civil disobedience movement was launched at Lahore session with the demand of Purna Swaraj, and this continued from 1931 till 1932. Then Gandhi-Irwin Pact, however it is like 1930 to 1931, then Gandhi-Irwin Pact was signed. It was restarted in 1932, but it lost its momentum in 1934. Do you think that the movements will stop? Obviously not. We did not get the freedom up till now. But after this, what happened in 1939 till 44? Okay, till 44 there was World War II going on in the world, and again Britishers are the participants, and they made us the indirect participants without even asking to us. There was so political instability all between this time. and there were demands to start a next movement against the Britishers. Meanwhile, what happened? Meanwhile, Britishers tried to negotiate by bringing certain vague offers, but they were not accepted. And hence, beta, Quit India movement. This time, Gandhiji was like, do or die. Now, do or die. We need freedom. Now it's so much. So it's not only Gandhiji, the entire Indian National Congress. So Quit India movement started in 1942. Why? Because before that, certain offers were presented by Britishers, that we can do this for India. We can leave India with this political conditions. We provide you dominion status. We provide you this. People were like, no, we want complete freedom. And then again, there was issue regarding Hindu-Muslim unity also. They were demanding a separate nation. And initially, we were not agreed upon that. Cripps proposal we denied. Okay? And there was a lot of proposals like that. Finally, after this Quit India movement and plan came in India, that is Cabinet Mission Plan. And in this plan, finally, the Congress accepted the plan that there will be two. However, not now also. In Cabinet Mission Plan also, we just accepted the offer that we will make the constitution for the nation. But what happened? When the constitution of nation was made, election organized particularly for this constitution, Muslim community was not unhappy because the demands of the representation according to the population was not accepted. And they did not came in this constituent assembly that was made in 1946, which was to frame the Indian constitution, and hence it was decided by Mountbatten there will be two separate nations. So this is the complete story. This is not in your book. Okay? Don't think that finding ma'am where it is. I was just telling you the complete story regarding it. Okay? So I find that now it might be clear to all of you. However, the Quit India movement, a paragraph is given in the book which you should read. Sometimes question comes, MCQ type of question comes and you don't answer it. Now coming to the last important topic of this chapter, that is sense of collective belonging. Now, do you remember, beta? Do you remember in the last chapter, Rise of Nationalism in Europe, there was a topic known as romantic imagination. Romantic imagination, where you show love towards the nation without any reason, science, rationality, only just mystic feelings, emotions, intuitions, and that is what brings the sense of collective belonging. So whenever you hear that, whenever you see that parade by the Indian Army, you feel something like patriotism at that time. When you hear Vande Mataram, Jan Gan Man, goosebumps are there. When we see movies regarding that freedom struggle, we actually feel it. And what is that? And this is how sense of collective belonging is being developed. And that was the challenge by the members. Yes, art and culture play an important role in bringing the feeling. When processions were organized by the leaders, think about it that Jan Gan Man is being played behind. Will you not feel more nationalized? Yes, we will. So, sense of collective belonging increased by figures and images, folklores and folk songs, icons and symbols, and reinterpretation of history. What actually are they? Like if I talk about figures and images, here we have the example of Bharat Mata. Okay? We have the example of Bharat Mata. Like we studied the allegory in France and Germany. Similarly was the allegory of India, Bharat Mata. You know that this Bharat Mata was very first time imagined, or what we can say, wrote in the book of Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay. Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, but this was painted. Acha, do not get confused, okay? This was painted by Abanindranath Tagore. Abanindranath Tagore. Okay? It's not Rabindranath Tagore. Abanindranath Tagore was the person who painted and gave us that Bharat Mata. Figure, again, when you see the Bharat Mata, you feel connected to the nation. Folklores and folk songs. So, Rabindranath Tagore. Right? Rabindranath Tagore has a history of writing folklores. Then there was Natesha Shastri, who had played a similar role. Right? Then we have one more thing, that is Anand Mat. Right? Anand Mat. So Anand Mat is a novel, right? Novel written by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay. Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay or Chatterjee, Chattopadhyay we will write because this is actually the real pronunciation. Britishers converted into Chatterjee, who wrote Vande Mataram. Who wrote Vande Mataram, and it is the part of this what Anand Math. So folklores and folk songs are the part of it. Again, icons and symbols became like flag. So we will see the history of flag. Okay, it evolved during the time of freedom movement, and then comes the important topic, that is reinterpretation of history. That comes the important topic, that is reinterpretation of history. What do we mean by this word, beta? So what happened na? When Britishers came to India, they wanted to rule India. Why? But this is an alien land for them. So to rule India, they should know India. They started studying Indian history and they got to know that how Indians were great. But they can't tell it to the world, right? They can't tell it to the world that the people we are ruling are themselves great. So they presented their own way of history, that Indians were about to be ruled. They are being ruled in the history and we are doing the same. Right? They are not great. They do not tell about the greatness of Indians. Rather, they told only about the negatives of the Indian society. And this time, the Indian members started reading the history, reinterpreted the past, and told to the world that this is we. Right? This we are. This is Vinny. This we are. Right? Getting my point? So this is the reinterpretation of history, where Indian historians read the Indian history, the Upanishads, the Vedas, and wrote their version of history. Look at those pictures which had a role in bringing the sense of collective belonging. This is Bharat Mata. This is the photo of Bharat Mata. See, this is not the Bharat Mata we are seeing right now sitting on lion and that heroism or strength characteristics. Rather, this was the original Bharat Mata that was painted by Abanindranath Tagore, and you can see the feature is that she is being so calm, right? She is so calm, composed. See, she is in her aesthetic. I was saying aesthetic. So she is in her aesthetic figure. Okay? She have what? In her hands, grains. See, Upanishads, like cloth, basic necessities, right? And like mala for a spiritual journey. So she has all those necessities of Indian people. Okay? This was a beautiful painting done by Abanindranath Tagore. Achha, one question comes in this, like obviously a question comes from this topic. Compare the allegory of India, that means Bharat Mata, with the allegory of Germania in chapter 1. Do you remember there's a great difference? There she is wearing the crown of oak leaves, which represents what? Heroism. Which represents what? Heroism. Here she is in ascetic figure. Painted, you can write the painters also in difference. You can write what these actually paintings talk about. And this is Jawaharlal Nehru holding a book in his hand. And here is a map of India in which Bharat Mata's painting is there. Again, this is the more versions of Bharat Mata later painted later. And the question, compare the image of Bharat Mata with the image of Germania in chapter 1. I am giving you the target of writing 5 points because this question comes for 5 marks. Okay? This question comes for 5 marks. This is homework for you. You have to do it right after you are watching this video. Okay? We will see the journey of Indian flag also. Okay? So when the first movement was done in India, that was Swadeshi movement, and we call this map as Swadeshi, sorry, not map, yeah. We call this flag as Swadeshi flag. And this was the time of 1905 when Indian National Congress was doing the Swadeshi movement. Gandhi ji was not there in India. Right? And the colors were green, yellow, red. In this 8 lotus represents what? The 8 provinces of India. British provinces we call it that time because Britishers were directly controlling those territories. Right? Vande Mataram return in between, and this moon and sun representing the unity of Hindu and Muslims at that time. Later on, what happened? The Swadeshi flag is changed. When Gandhiji came into India, the color, now see, this color red is changed, replaced by saffron, white and green, and in between you will see charkha. Khadi Charkha by Gandhi ji, to promote the Indian indigenous clothes and khadi and boycott the foreign goods. And later we got this flag of India, which is now replaced by Ashok Chakra. Get it? A question before leaving the class. Who among the following wrote Vande Mataram? Now this is not I am going to tell. This is someone you commenting in the session, so that even I can check who watched this video up till the end. Okay. Now this picture is taken from Quit India movement. You will find a box, beta. Quit India movement. You will find a big box, right, where this event is represented of 1942. Okay, of 1942. So this is very, very important. You have to read that. If someone is giving you the advice, the question do not come from boxes, do not take it. And at last, here are some homework questions, and you might be thinking, ma'am, a lot of questions were there in between. No issues. We will solve all this question and ace this chapter. Again, this chapter has a high weightage. These are the 5 questions that you will be solving after reading this chapter. Let me tell you one more important thing, beta. Map work comes from this chapter for 2 marks. How many marks? For 2 marks. Okay? This map work contains 2 things. Now what's that? Important sessions of Indian National Congress. Important sessions of Indian National Congress. They are 4 in number. Okay, it is one of them is September 1920, one of them is December 1920, then we have a session of 1927 and this was in Madras, okay, and then 1929 and this was in Lahore, right? Why I did not write the sessions of September and December? Because I told you in the session very nicely, you have to figure out that do you remember this or not. Along with that, we have certain important locations of freedom struggle like Champaran in Bihar, okay? Champaran in Bihar. Then we have Kheda in Gujarat. Then we will be having Ahmedabad, then Jallianwala Bagh in Amritsar. Okay. Along with that, okay, this is what all the locations are there. Yes, one more is Chauri Chaura. Chauri Chaura. If you do this map work today, 2 marks are sorted for your final exams. And I think this is a full power packaged video for you with practice questions, with homework questions, with important questions added and discussed, and at last we did the map work too. So this was all about the chapter. Similar such chapters will be uploaded on the same platform, Diksha Vedantu. If you like the session, give your feedback in the comment right now and meet you soon. Up till then, tata, bye bye, take care.